Humans are incredible, and I don't say that just because we've created robots that talk to us through our cell phones. I say we're incredible because we've stepped on the moon, not just once, but 6 times, which makes humans the only intelligent civilization in the universe to have landed on the moon. Seriously, do you know any other intelligent civilization that has landed on the moon? Because I don't know one. One of the most convincing pieces of evidence that humans are incredible is that since the first time we flew in history, it took us only 63 years to step on the moon. Do you realize the transition from airplanes made of paper and wood to extremely complex lunar modules in just 63 years? The history of the space race is quite interesting in itself. In 1961, then U.S. President John Kennedy set a goal to land on the moon by the end of the decade in a legendary speech in the U.S. Senate. Nowadays, since we've already been to the moon, we don't realize how bizarre that idea was because when this speech was made, there were only 9 years left in the decade. But when it comes to space, humanity rarely disappoints. Just 8 years after that speech, the Saturn V rocket carrying the 3 astronauts of Apollo 11 took off, less than 5 days later. The whole world watched as a human stepped for the first time on a celestial body other than Earth. Neil Armstrong's exact words when he first stepped on the moon still echo today in the Hall of History. That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. This moment will be remembered throughout history. Humanity prevailed, and we ventured out of Earth, our cradle in space. Some people would say that launching humans riding explosives hundreds of kilometers is not the safest mode of transportation ever invented. So it's fair to ask, what if the moon landing had gone wrong? Turns out, exploration is hard, and throughout history, many explorations ended very badly. Pedro Álvares Cabral's fleet, which discovered Brazil, set out from Portugal with 13 ships and arrived in Brazil with 12. Fernando Magalhães, who organized the first circumnavigation of the globe, died just before completing it. Space is much more hostile than oceans or unknown lands. There are several things that can go wrong on a space journey, especially considering it was the first time in history we were taking humans to land somewhere other than Earth. The Apollo mission directors and astronauts knew the risks, and they were prepared in case the mission failed. But there was one more person prepared in case the mission failed, the president. If anything went wrong during the landing, then U.S. President Nixon already had a protocol prepared. One of the most obvious things that could happen was that after landing, the astronauts couldn't take off again, being stuck forever on the moon, which would make for a great nightmare tonight. If that happened, the protocol would be as follows. First, President Nixon would call the astronauts' widows to inform them that they wouldn't return from Earth. Then he would read a letter on national television, which would be broadcast worldwide, specially prepared for this occasion. Fate has ordained that the men who went to the moon to explore in peace will stay on the moon to rest in peace. These brave men, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, know that there is no hope for their recovery. But they also know that there is hope for humanity in their sacrifice. These 2 men are laying down their lives in mankind's most noble goal, the search for truth and understanding. Others will follow, and surely find their way home. Every human being who looks up at the moon in the nights to come will know that there is some corner of another world that is forever mankind's. After the broadcast, which probably the astronauts stranded on the moon would be watching, NASA would officially terminate communication with them. From that moment on, they would be isolated, without communication with the rest of the world, spending their last moments alone as the only 2 human beings in the vastness of the moon's surface. Their burial would be the same as those who died at sea received. But let's not distract from the fact that despite everything that could go wrong, they succeeded. Humanity succeeded. We conquered space. The moon landing was an achievement for humanity, and I wanted to end this video by showing this photo taken during the mission. This photo is spectacular because all the human beings who have ever lived or died are contained in it. The entire humanity is framed in this single and spectacular image. I think this image means so much because only one person from all the people who have ever existed is not in it, and it's astronaut Michael Collins. the third astronaut who was tasked with staying in lunar orbit while Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin made a historic landing on the moon. Thank you very much, and until next time.